Un sin unum. Northern Ireland's first ever integrated school embraced this as their motto upon its formation in 1981, that all may be one. Yet, in a society seemingly united by an agreement that was signed 25 years ago, we remain apart. I feel as though my life has been pre-written as a result to a war that was caused by my ancestors, but why should my generation be the ones who are forced to put things right? As it stands in Northern Ireland, 90% of our schools still remain separated by religion, with only 70 possible grant-aided schools out of 1,079. I'll let you take that in. When I was first informed of these figures, I too was shocked, but they soon became the missing piece to my puzzle. Growing up, I never fully understood that why at certain times of the year my family would take an annual caravan trip to escape the madness that celebrated the segregation that we worked so tirelessly to end. But now, it all makes sense. Many still view integration as a farce, but integration is deeper than merely a headcount of students in a facility. Integrated schools consciously appoint a diverse team of educational leaders that recognise the need for change within our education system. Those who raise such questions often ask things such as how institutions that devote celebrations to the King's birthday could ever mix with establishments whose physical infrastructure consists of religious relics and statues. Those people who raise such questions are stuck with opinions that may have been relevant 25 years ago, but are viewed differently today. A common fear among people is change. The fear that the ideas and ideologies will be diluted by the establishment of a regularly functioning society. But a world that stays frozen in time would be boring if you ask me. If the world is changing, I want to change with it. I don't want to stand still while everyone else around me moves on. So I asked you, are you going to stand still or are you going to move with me? But before we even begin to look at the problems that are facing the segregation within education, we need to look at the problems that are already existing in our education sector. Evidence shows that access to high-performing schools and their resources is highly unfair. The system prioritises pupils whose families can afford to live near enough to the school to be permitted or can afford to pay ridiculous fees to hold their place. The Good Friday Agreement is supposed to be fair for all social groups, yet we have no problem separating people not just by their religion but by their class too. This year, I took part in a competition called Miss Northern Ireland. This is a beauty pageant that didn't discriminate me based on my religion, how much I earned, or where I was from. Instead, it gave young female voices the chance to be heard, allowing me to stand on a national stage and speak on hard-hitting, relevant issues, much like what the 2048 event is doing as I speak to you all today. The Queen's Pathway programme, a brilliant opportunity for many students who wish to attend its campus for third-level education. However, it unintentionally deems the working-class people as less fit and more incapable to reach the same grade standards as those from a middle-class background. A main feature to the programme is the lowering of grade boundaries based on an examination you take if successful with your application to the course. So this means that if you tick more boxes on a form despite being taught the same syllabus for the same length of time as your classmate who maybe your parent only earns £1 over the household income, they get an entire grade reduction. Is this fair? To give more opportunities to some but not to others? Or does this undermine the whole point of equal treatment for all social groups as outlined in the Good Friday Agreement? It is evident that majority, if not all, students who go through the Pathway programme are granted the Educational Maintenance Allowance, EMA. This is a means-tested allowance of £60 paid fortnightly into your bank account. IFS researchers recently found out that EMA significantly increased student participation in post-16 education, as an attempt to enforce positive discrimination aimed at those in society believed to be less likely to maintain their academic attendance throughout the year. However, I enjoy taking A-level politics, but a peer of mine recently raised the question asking, is EMA, a system in education, biased towards certain groups in society based on discriminatory factors beyond our control? Questions such as your parental income. I can't choose how much my parents earn, so why should my life be affected by it? This caused me to do some research of my own, and I found that many students, even those who are granted EMA, disagree with how the selection of those eligible is made. Not only do we find it disheartening, but we would also rather see the money used for EMA spent to improve our curriculum. Getting taught briefly about Northern Ireland's history in Year 10 isn't good enough. The Good Friday Agreement should be compulsory. I shouldn't have to take GCSE history or politics or LLW, which not all schools offer, just to learn about my own nation's historical context. It's just not good enough. I attended a segregated school from years 8 to 12, forcing me to make a much-needed transfer to continue my studies. I decided that the only way I would maintain in education was if I were to attend an integrated school. My choice to move to Lagan College was hands down the easiest and best choice I have ever made. From only being in Lagan a year, I already noticed changes in myself. I am happier with the company I keep, and rather than cast each other out for our differences, we build each other up and celebrate what makes us unique and stand out from one another. I had felt more welcomed in the first month of being an integrated youth than I did in my entirety for the past 5 years. Teaching cross-community values to a younger age bracket will create integrated children, which in turn creates integrated adults. Because like it or not, we have to mix in the wider world despite any past squabbling. So therefore, I asked you, do you want to embrace cross-community values, or would you like to remain in a society defined by your class rather than your character, or will you be like me and my school, Lagan College, and embrace the motto, Un sen unum, that all may be one?